The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The COMELEC is conducting mock elections in 34 barangays today in preparation for the May 2022 elections. To give us the latest on the ground, we have Greg Gregorio. He's reporting to us live from the Padre Zamora Elementary School in Pasay City. Greg, good morning. Can you tell us first how many are joining the mock voting there today?
Riza, according to the Commission on Elections, there are 786 registered voters here in the 2nd District of Pasay, where the mock elections is being conducted here at the Padre Zamora Elementary School. But according to COMELEC spokesperson Director James Jimenez, they don't expect all of these 786 to join the mock elections, as according to Jimenez, Filipinos at this time aren't as interested as much as the day of the elections. Teresa?
Greg, describe to us the setup of the voting precinct there and how many different areas will voters have to go through before they can able to cast their votes?
Risa, here at the Padre Zamora Elementary School, there is a 3-room setup where voters would have to be at the waiting area before they can go to the voting area, before they can actually feed their votes to the vote counting machines on a separate room. But according to Director Jimenez, this 3-room setup depends on the size of the available rooms in a polling place. According to him, in other areas, there are only 2-room setup. Riza?
How about the process, Greg? Can you walk us through this process that is, of course, new for all of us voters? What do we have to go through again from step 1 to that part where we're able to cast our votes?
Yes, Risa, upon arrival to this school or this polling place, a voter would have to get his or her temperature checked. If he or she would show an above 37 degrees Celsius temperature, or if he or she is showing another symptoms or different symptoms of COVID-19, he or she would have to be placed in an isolated polling place. And there, he or she would have to wait a little longer, and then he or she would again be subjected to another temperature check. If his or her temperature would still remain high, then he or she would vote or cast his vote there at the isolation polling place. But if there is no problem with one's temperature, or if a voter doesn't show any symptoms of COVID-19, he will then go to the voter's assistance desk for him or for her to check his or her name before one can go to the waiting area, before he or she can actually vote, and then before he or she can feed his votes or his or her votes to the vote counting machines. According to Director Jimenez, they are estimating around 5-minute average time for one's actual voting, but it would be around 30 minutes, factoring in all of the process, including the compliance to the health protocols. Riza?
Greg, what is the expected number of voters for these mock poll precincts?
Riza, for the entire mock elections, there are more than 20,000 registered voters. But according to Director Jimenez, they only expect around 600 to 700 average voters per precinct in this mock elections across 34 barangays in the country. Riza?
But come actual day of the elections, Greg, how many voters are expected to show up there in Padre Zamora Elementary School in Pasay?
Riza, there is based on the records of the Commission on Elections, about 786 are registered voters here at the 2nd District of Pasay City. But then again, according to Director Jimenez, they only expect around 60% voter turnout here or in every locality or every precinct come the day of the elections on May 2022. Riza?
Greg, were you able to talk to some of those who have already participated in these mock polls, and what do they think about the process?
Riza, yes, we were able to talk to the first ones who were able to cast their votes early this morning, and most of them are senior citizens. According to them, they did not have a hard time casting their votes, even though this is just a mock elections. And they emphasized that they were very much interested in joining this mock elections for them to know what would be the processes for the very day of the election on in May 2022. And according to them, it is beneficial for them now to be familiar of how the processes will be, so that on the election day they won't have any hard time. Also, Riza.
One final question, Greg. How about the Comelec officials? We can see in the footage, Mr. Jimenez is present. What are their thoughts about this launch of the mock elections?
Riza, according to Director Jimenez, as much as they would want to avoid bottlenecks or problems in this conduct of mock elections, Jimenez emphasized that this would also be a perfect opportunity for them to see where would possibly be the bottlenecks or the problems for the run of the election, so that they could address all of these issues, or they could address all of the possible issues, and they would be able to have they would be able to hold a better run or smoother run of the elections come May 2022. It has also been earlier emphasized by the Commission that this mock elections intends to check the run or to check the performance of the system for this coming automated elections. I remember Comelec Commissioner Marlon Casquejo earlier stated that if there are big issues that will arise in this mock elections, then they would be able to rehash the source codes for them to correct all of the possible issues that may affect the coming elections. Riza?
Thank you for giving us those updates. That's Greg Gregorio reporting live from Pasay City. Meanwhile, 397 people have died so far due to Typhoon Odette. That's according to the latest data from the NDRRMC. Now, over 1,100 people have been injured while 83 people remain missing. More than 1 million families were affected by the typhoon. That's equivalent to nearly 4.2 million individuals from over 6,000 barangays in the country. About 530,000 houses were damaged by the tropical cyclone, and the estimated cost of damage to infrastructure is now at 16.7 billion pesos, while damage to agriculture is at 5.5 billion pesos. The Health Department continues to manage diarrhea cases among Typhoon Odette evacuees. In an interview with Radio 5, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeres said that 80 people in the Dinagat Islands have acute gastroenteritis, while 16 diarrhea cases have been found in Region 7. Vergeres said that an epidemiologist has been sent to the areas to investigate the source of infection. Meanwhile, the official admitted that it is hard for authorities to maintain social distancing and wearing of masks inside the temporary shelters.
Ang utos po ni Secretary Duque ay pagbaba ng ating mga medical teams doon. Kailangan laging may dala ng mga mask para ibigay sa ating mga kababayan doon. Also, we have reminded local governments that dapat may safety officer para lagi pong nababantayan kung nagko-comply ang ating mga kababayan with the safety protocols. And what would be most important, yung surveillance. Lahat ng may simptomas kailangan immediately isolated, and pinabibigyan na sila ng rapid antigen test para makapag-monitor tayo, lalong-lalo na dun sa mga may simptomas dun sa mga evacuation sites.
Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez says vaccinations for children aged 5 to 11 may start by the second week of January. Galvez says the government is currently awaiting the arrival of 15 million Pfizer doses that will be used for inoculation of this age group. Now, this supply will be delivered in tranches. The first batch containing 6 million doses is expected to arrive next month. The government targets to vaccinate around 14.7 million kids under the age 5 to 11 group. Now, Galvez says they are also requesting international organizations for additional doses that can be used for child vaccinations.
We are asking COVAX na kung pwede silang, kung meron silang, they can spare some for our, especially UNICEF, if they can work on the possibility that we will get some additional vaccine from the donation from 5 to 11 years old.
The DENR officially lifts the nationwide ban on open pit mining despite protests from environmental advocacy groups amid the climate crisis. The agency says this move is expected to boost the country's economic recovery from the pandemic. Shaila Francisco with a report.
After 4 years since late Environment Secretary Gina Lopez put a stop to open-pit mining, the DNR is reversing course. Her predecessor, Secretary Royce Matu, signed an administrative order lifting the moratorium on open-pit mine. The order says open-pit mining is a globally accepted method and is considered the most feasible option for mining near-surface deposits. It also says control strategies are present to manage its negative impacts. According to the Mines and Geosciences Bureau, there are around 4 open-pit mining projects which are ready to proceed. To ensure safety, MGB will subject the operations to monitoring while a committee will assess surface mining in the country. The Chamber of Mines of the Philippines sees this bolstering economic recovery, something the Environment Department echoes.
We need funding for our campaign against the pandemic and other activities of the government. May malaki tayong income na nakukuha sa ating ekonomiya.
The repeal of the ban on open-pit mining comes just months after the government lifted the moratorium on new mining deals. For Alianza Tigalmina, the new move will further worsen climate change in the country, noting that Typhoon Odette hit most of mining-affected communities.
Yung mga mining-affected communities, dahil wala na ngang gubat, kinalbo na kinabkab na yung bundok, pinutol na yung kagubatan, mas prone sila sa landslide, flooding at erosion. Hindi kami naniniwala that open pit mining has a place in an archipelagic country.
The DNR assures that environmental concerns will be addressed.
Very strict. Kailangan they will have to comply or else they will lose their permit. Automatic yan.
Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
The Philippine Olympic Committee has declared athletics chief Dr. Philip L. Huico as persona non grata. This follows the officials' rift with Olympic pole vaulter E.J. Obiena. The POC says it no longer recognizes Huico as president of the Philippine Athletics and Track and Field Association, or PATAFA. Huico claimed discrepancies regarding the liquidation of the salary paid by Obiena to his Ukrainian coach for the last 3 years. Obiena admitted to making some late payments but insisted he did not pocket the money. This prompted the recommendation of the Ethics Committee to declare Huico persona non grata, which the Executive Board approved. Now here's a quick look at today's top headlines. Authorities are now looking at the possible local transmission of the Omicron variant under or after the husband of the 4th patient infected with the new strain also tested positive for COVID-19. Vice President Leni Robredo visits Bohol as she continues her trip to communities affected by Typhoon Odette, while Senator Ping Lacson visits farmers in Benguet. And actor Ek Jong-D gets indicted over the cyber libel complaint filed by the congresswoman who received backlash on social media over her wedding at a luxurious island resort. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later again at 10:30 in the morning as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.